Hi, I'm Ryan. Today I'm going to walk you through how to do a squat using proper form and technique, and then I'll share with you 3 common mistakes that I've seen being made when people do squats and how to correct these mistakes to make sure that you're not making these yourselves so that we get the most benefit out of doing our squats and decrease our chance for injury. I don't have shoes on just so that I can demonstrate how to do them better, but when you're lifting, make sure you're wearing shoes. It's a safety thing when lifting. To start off with, if someone doesn't feel comfortable squatting, I would say don't even add weight yet. Don't hold on to weights, don't put weights on the shoulders, on the bar, just use the body. Our bodies are weight in itself, so you can practice easily these things by just doing your body weight. And then when you feel comfortable, then you can start adding a little bit of weight slowly with time to progress your exercise. To start squatting, you want to make sure that your feet are at least hip width apart. So you don't want your feet narrower than that. You want your feet at least hip width apart, and I personally like my stance a little bit wider than that. That feels best for me. And then you want to slowly push your hips backwards, keeping your feet flat on the floor until your thighs are about parallel to the floor. It's okay if you can't go that far, just getting as far down as you feel comfortable and then standing back up. When you squat down, you want to make sure that the chest stays upright and the back stays flat. Also, when you squat, it is important to remember to breathe. So when you're squatting down, you want to inhale. When you're standing back up, you want to exhale. So you inhale on the way down, exhale on the way back up when squatting. So I can feel that even just when I do my own body weight. I get a huge benefit. Again, that is a weight that we're lifting, is our body in itself. That is a strength training exercise. I also like just practicing that in a chair, like getting in and out of a chair without using your hands and practicing that squat form, especially if someone feels off balance or feels like they're gonna tip backwards. Like kind of guiding themselves or sitting down into a chair and then slowly using the muscles to push themselves back up can be a really helpful tool to get that proper squat form and down and feel comfortable with that before stepping into the gym or adding weight, etc. One of the biggest mistakes that I see being made when people squat is lifting their heels off the ground when they squat down. That is terrible for us. And often when that happens also, I see the knees kind of shift forward and go past the toes, which is incorrect. So when we squat, we want to make sure our heels are pressed down through the floor, engaged at all times. The heels never should come off the ground at all. So making sure that we are pressing those heels firmly into our shoes, into the ground, all throughout that movement will help with that proper form and squat. I personally even try to lift up or wiggle my toes a little bit to make sure that I'm not putting weight into those toes and keeping it really in the heels and in that posterior part of my body. Also too, I think what happens when those knees go forward is oftentimes people aren't feeling comfortable with the bend at the hips and that movement backward. Instead of starting your squat in the knees, you want to start your squat in the hips by pressing the hips backwards and then the knees bend. So moving that first, hips first, and then the knees also helps correct that. The second mistake that I see often are when someone squats down or even when standing back up, the knees cave inwards. That is terrible. Actually, we want to keep the knees straight ahead. We don't want them flying out and we don't want them going in. So just keeping them parallel to where they are is proper and best form. Often when the knees are caving in and someone really can't control that, sometimes it's because of weaker hamstrings. So extra exercises can be helpful too to help just build up that posterior chain strength. The third and last mistake that I want to share today is when people squat, oftentimes they lean too far forward or bend too much at the waist. So instead of the butt going back and down, sometimes people move their chest more forward or kind of bend more forward at the waist thinking that they're squatting, but it's actually not. It's not engaging the glutes. So making sure that we are keeping that back kind of upright, moving the hips, the movement at the knees, and not bending over at the waist. Often also what happens, I think, when people bend like that is that I think the weight's too heavy. So if we lighten the weight and then try to do the squat properly, build up strength there, and then add weight, I think that can be helpful. I think oftentimes they're trying to overdo the amount of weight that they're trying to lift or trying to squat or trying to move, and then the form suffers. So taking a few steps back can be helpful for that. Let me know what other fitness and nutrition questions you have. Comment below. I would love to hear from you. That's going to be all for this video. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.